Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jade, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you all about content batching. So if you are new here, you may not know that I actually have 4 Instagram accounts. It's actually quite embarrassing. I think I've got a bit of an addiction. I have 4 Instagram accounts. 2 of them are for my boutique, so they're product-based business accounts. One of them is for this account, which is service-based because I offer coaching. And then another one is my influencing account. So what that means is that I quite clearly know a thing or two about content batching, because I would not be able to have so many Instagram accounts which churn out consistent content if I did not content batch. So that's what I want to spend today doing, teaching you how I do it, sharing my tips and tricks. And hopefully, because I have so many different accounts, each with their own different purpose, this video will be interesting and useful to everyone. So as always, I don't want to dwell on the intro, let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so you're probably wondering why content batch? Why am I even watching this video? Like, what is this got to do with me? I doubt you're watching that, because I feel like if you clicked on this and the thumbnail, you probably already know, a bit or two about content batching. In the off chance that you don't, the reason why content batching is so important and vital to anyone who has an Instagram account who wants to post and be consistent on that account is that it saves you time. Even if you're someone who's really fortunate enough to have an hour or 2 to dedicate to creating content and posting content on your Instagram account every single day, even if you're in that scenario, you are still wasting time by posting every day. The reason why content batching is so effective is because you benefit from being in the zone of creating content. You benefit from being in the zone of writing out captions. You benefit from being in the zone of writing out your hashtags. Like, you just benefit from doing everything in one go and, being in a real flow. I actually am just in the middle of reading a book by Grace Beverley. This isn't a sponsor, obviously, why would she sponsor me? But I am just reading this book, and she has loads of information and tips on kind of how you get yourself into a certain workflow, and it's really related to content batching and the benefits you get from completing similar tasks at once. So that is why content batching is so important, and really just enables you to be as efficient as possible. And you know what? In the spirit of talking about content batching, I'm doing a few videos today. Like, in case you didn't realize, most YouTubers actually batch create their content. I batch create my content, and I fall into this trap because this is what every YouTuber does. They change their outfits for every video, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it today. I think it's a facade, it's a lie. Like, who cares if you see me in the same outfit for 2 videos? Also, who has enough clothes? Like, I'm running out of tops to wear in my videos. So in the effort of talking about content batching, I'm gonna wear the same outfit twice. So in my opinion, there are 4 key steps to content batching, and I am of course going to take you through each of those steps today. So if we start with step 1, brainstorming. This is my favorite step, because who doesn't love brainstorming? If you haven't seen some of my other videos where I talk about like mind mapping and stuff, then you might not know that like I love a good mind map. If you use my notebook, there's basically a mind map on every other page. Like, that is how my brain thinks, but everyone uses their own different ways. But in the brainstorming phase, there's a few different tips I can give you which is going to really help you come up with different ideas for your content. So the first is use your analytics. I want you to go on your analytics. You need to be a business or creator page in order to access your analytics and make sure that you are a business or creator page. So I want you to go onto your analytics. I want you to go onto the content you shared. I'm looking down because I've got my phone here. I want you to go onto the content you shared, and then I want you to have a look at the different content, what comes up, because Instagram is going to order all of your content based on the reach figures or the follower figures or whatever you select from this drop down, right? So if we talk about likes as the metric that you want to focus on for this, right? So if I saw all of my content by the likes and how many likes I got, you can clearly see which of my content has performed the best. The reason why it's worth looking at this when you're in the brainstorming phase is because you should always be referring to your most popular content when coming up with future content. If you know that a certain type of content works best, like content which shows your face or content which shows a quote, if you know that performs better than the rest of your content, then you need to make sure that forms a really key, strong part of the different content that you're brainstorming as part of your content creation, right? So make sure that you look at your analytics. I also want you to think about your content pillars. And there's going to be some people who are watching this video who are going to be like, but Jade, we asked you to do a video on content pillars and you haven't done it yet, so I don't have any. To everyone who is that person, I'm sorry. The video is coming. I have such a long content list, it's ridiculous, but the video is coming. So what your content pillars are is they're basically 3 to 5 topics or 3 to 5 types of content that you will consistently post or discuss on your Instagram page. So these topics do need to align with your brand. And I'm not just talking about business owners here. If you are an influencer, then you are a brand, you are a personal brand. Your content pillars always need to align with your personal brand, because realistically, the reason why they're called pillars is because they're supposed to hold up your brand. But that's the reason why they're called content pillars, because they're supposed to support your brand, right? So for example, on We Side Hustle, my brand is all about leveling up your hustles, right? So what falls under that, and my content pillars, what falls under that are things like bossing social media, hence this video, starting your own business or creating your own online store, YouTube tips, that kind of stuff. That all falls under my overarching brand, and therefore they are key content pillars which fall within that. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I'll do another video on it, but another example, just in case that wasn't completely clear, my other Instagram account, Orange Collective, that is all very much about me and my boyfriend experiencing the world together, right? That's our brand. So underneath that, what our content pillars are travel content, experience content, and food content, because that all aligns and feeds into our overarching brand. So if you don't have content pillars already and you really don't want to wait for my video, then I recommend, first of all, having a search. I'm never going to be someone who's not going to tell you to look for other people's content. There are loads of really good YouTubers out there who speak about the same stuff as me. Have a look for some of their content. They'll have some really great stuff on there. And if not, just look at your content that you share already and just see if you can work out specific themes and just see if you can relate those themes to your overarching personal brand. So you need to refer back to your content pillars when you're brainstorming, because for obvious reasons, your content that you're brainstorming and the ideas you're coming up with need to align with those content pillars. So make sure you're referring back to those. For influencers, you're probably thinking, oh, well, I don't really plan my content. Like maybe I just go out and I take nice photos if I've got a nice outfit on, or I'm in a nice restaurant. You are missing a trick if that's the case, because you can always plan your content. Myself and my boyfriend for Orange Collective, when we go on holiday, you do not even want to see the amount of research what we do when it comes to the different locations, where we're going, where we can go and we can get really good content, what time it's best to travel there to get the best content. Usually it's really early in the morning, which is super annoying when you're on holiday. But we plan all of that out. I think about what outfits I'm going to wear. I think about all of it. So for you to get the best out of your content and really make sure it's as impactful as can be, you can always plan. And batch creating content when you're an influencer is also super easy and super valuable. But if you bear with me, I'll give you a few more tips in regards to actually creating the content. For you business owners out there, whether you're service or product based, a good tip I can give you for the brainstorming section is to refer to an international holiday calendar. So you know, like they have all these holidays like National Avocado Day, I don't know if that's a thing, or like National Nature Day, you know, or like World Day. I'm just making these up. I don't know if these are real things. Probably, because there's so many like international like holidays that we don't really know about, but they're really good cues for content. So when I'm creating content for my business channels, I always look at these international holidays, because I think there might be a few in there which are really related to my brand. And there could be some that you just should be talking about, which you might not even, you know, it might slip your mind and you might not even realize that one of those are coming up. So always refer to an international holiday calendar. Okay, so let's move on to step 2, which is all about actually creating the content. So this is usually the time-consuming, difficult bit, and there's different tips depending on the type of account that you have. So for my business owners out there, if you are anything like my We Side Hustle page, which shares loads of like helpful information and tips and advice, maybe you're in the coaching niche like I am, you're going to be needing to create a lot of graphic content. I'm hoping that you already know about Canva. I'm sure you do if you're in that niche, but if you don't, Canva is an amazing tool for creating your own graphic content. They have loads of different templates on there and they make the whole process really easy. What I recommend doing if you do create this type of content is spending some time just writing all the copy for your different graphics first, because once you get in the zone of writing like a self-help carousel or finding quotes that you want to post, or you know, writing the 5 things you need to know about Instagram, like all that kind of stuff, when you're getting that zone of writing that type of content, it becomes a lot easier to just churn it out and write a lot of it. So I like to have a Word document which literally has maybe 10 weeks worth of tips on there, because I just add to it consistently. So when the time comes for me to actually design my assets, I have so much content there for me to choose from. So that's one tip what I have for you. When it comes to my product-based business owners, things, in some ways, I actually think we have it a little bit easier than other accounts, because a lot of my content on my 2 brands, so Raya London and Lilo London, is influencer content. So we're actually quite lucky because we actually get influencers to create content for us. So that's always one of my key content pillars. But I also recommend mixing it up and trying to, one, produce your own product photography and make sure that's in there as well, and make sure you're creating that all at one time. And also throwing in some graphics, some memes, stuff that really helps communicate your tone of voice as well as a brand, and really mixing all those things up together to make a nice cohesive theme. And then if you're an influencer, which I feel like a lot of people out there who are watching this are going to be influencers or content creators, when it comes to creating your content in batches, things are a bit different for you, and the different things that you'll need to do will very much depend on your niche. However, there are a few hints and tips that I can give you that I think are going to really help you when it comes to batch creating content. For example, if you're in a certain niche where you maybe don't need to or want to carry loads of different outfits with you to make it look like you've been taking all these different, photos on different days, then there's other things that you can do. For example, you may have a date scheduled with like your friends or your boyfriend or whatever later on this evening, and you're in a really nice restaurant, and when you're there you're thinking, okay, I've obviously not bought a change of clothes, but I would like to get a few shots here, right? You can take several photos from that evening and still post all of them, regardless of whether or not you're in the same outfit in each. That is okay. What you basically need to do in order to do that is make sure that you're spacing out all of your content so that you're not posting several photos of you in the same outfit in the same place in one go. If you go on my Orange Collective account, you may notice that there will be at least 2 to 3 versions of very similar photos. So photos which I've taken from one day out in Morocco, I'm wearing the same outfit, I might even be in a similar location, but I'm doing something different and my pose is different. But they'll be so spaced out across my Instagram page that when I upload them, you're not immediately going to think, wait a minute, I've already seen her in this outfit. Like, you just don't think that way because no one's remembering what you posted 2 months ago. It's all about how you schedule your content and just making sure you've got sufficient space between your posts. So please don't feel like you have to carry loads of different outfits or you cannot possibly post 2 photos from the same night out. You can, 100% you can. You've just got to be savvy with it. Okay, so the next step that I'm going to want you to do is actually schedule your content. You might be thinking, wait, but what about the captions? Like, I'm not ready. No, you are, you're ready. I use a tool called Planoly, which I'll put a link to in the description, along with links to Canva and all the other resources that I mentioned. I use Planoly to pre-schedule my content. The reason why I use Planoly is because it is an approved third-party app of Instagram, which is very important. It means that Instagram's not going to get mad at you for using it. And it also means that it has the ability to automatically post content to your Instagram page without you having to do anything. So you can create a post on Planoly, do your captions, do your hashtags, schedule it for 2 weeks time, and when that date comes, that post will magically appear on your account. Literally, it's honestly, it feels like magic when it happens. I just get a nice notification like, hey, we posted that post for you, by the way, because we knew that you weren't going to remember to do it. So it's just such a useful tool. So I 100% recommend checking out Planoly. Anyway, the reason why I want you to go straight to the scheduling phase before you've maybe ironed out your editing or done your captions is because I think having a cohesive theme where all your content looks really well placed and curated is really, really important for businesses, for brand owners, for anyone. So what I recommend you doing is using the Planoly tool to put all of the different content that you've created, upload it all, preview it, and just have a play with how it looks as a grid on your feed. Because I find that when I do this process, I'm usually like, oh, okay, actually that photo needs to go there, that photo looks better there, actually I need to change the lighting in this photo, this edit doesn't quite work, the shade of the sky, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And we do it a bit on Orange Collective, and every time we do it, it drives me mad. Like when the shade of the sky is different in different photos. Hate it. So what I'm basically saying is that this stage of scheduling your content and moving things around is so important, and it's usually where you notice a few things where you're like, oh, I probably should have taken a few more photos of this angle, or I should have taken a few more photos in this venue to make it all look a lot better and more cohesive. So I 100% recommend using Planoly to go through that stage, and then once you've done that and you feel like you're happy with your grid and you're happy with the layout, that's when you can move on to the final touches of your editing and also the caption section. So let's talk a bit about captions. I teach my clients that there are 4 key things that you need to bear in mind when you're writing a caption. The first is your hook, the second is your tone of voice, the third is your hashtags, and the fourth is your call to action. Now, some of these things hold a different level of importance depending on the type of account you have. However, I will say that hashtags are always important. If you don't have a hashtag strategy, I recommend watching this video where I talk you through my 2021 strategy. And I would also say that having a hook is always important. So a hook is just the first few letters or the first sentence of your caption, which is supposed to entice people and draw people in, especially if you've got a long caption, which I do usually recommend, but it's not always suitable for every brand. But if you do have a long caption, then it's especially important to have a good hook, because you need to make sure that you're drawing people in so they click that more button and read the rest of your caption. So I'm going to talk a bit about the different types of accounts and how different elements are more important based on your account type. So if we talk about an influencer account, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects of a good caption of an influencer account is your tone of voice, because influencing accounts, I know you're providing, inspiration and value in different ways, but also there's a personal connection there and people want to get to know you. So in my opinion, the captions is your best opportunity to kind of communicate that, especially on platforms like Instagram. And I've learned that recently because I've started a YouTube channel. It's so much easier to build a connection with you guys via YouTube because it's video and it's just so much easier. On Instagram, it's so much harder. And one of the few places you have an opportunity to do that is in your captions. So I really, really advise that you spend a lot of time figuring out what your tone of voice is. It should basically be just what your personality is, and trying to make that shine as much as possible in your captions. For service-based accounts, so like coaching accounts and stuff like that, your call to action is especially important. So this is basically what you ask people to do as a result of them reading your post. Is it comment below? Is it send you a DM? Is it watch your stories? What is it? I also think that providing value is especially important for service-based businesses. Most of the time, these businesses are trying to demonstrate that they're a thought leader or expert in their space. In order for you to demonstrate that, you need to provide value to your followers. And then if we talk about product-based businesses, in my opinion, what's most important in your captions is that you are balancing a mix of hard sell captions and soft sell captions. So hard sell captions are ones where you're like, check out this new dress. It's now $9.99. I mean, I hope it's more than that, because how are you affording to sell a dress for $9.99? Check out this new dress. It's £25. Shop this dress via the link in the bio. That is a hard sell caption. A soft sell caption is, how amazing does our brand ambassador Becky look in our new dress? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's more of a soft sell. You're kind of selling the product, but you're not saying go and buy it. So in my opinion, what works best for product-based businesses is making sure you've got a nice balance between your hard sell and your soft sell messages. A few bonus tips for batch creating captions. Read your captions out loud. This is for anything. Always, if you're writing something, read it out loud, because if you're anything like me, you'll realize that it doesn't make sense when you read it out loud. So read it out loud. And if you're really unsure on something, then get someone else to read it for you. Another key tip, and my last tip on captions before I move on to my bonus tips for batch content creation, is to write your captions in one go. So if you've just brainstormed 8 different posts, you've just captured content for 8 different posts, I want you to write the captions for all of those 8 posts in one go. It gets yourself in the zone, and again, you benefit from just really being in the zone of caption writing, and you'll find that they flow a lot easier and your ideas come a lot easier. So I always recommend trying to create all of your captions in one go, in one setting if you can. Right, so let's move on to the bonus tips. One bonus tip that I'll give you for this and for life is to time block. So if you are at the stage where you are brainstorming ideas, give yourself a specific amount of time to get your ideas down on paper. Any task will take as long as you give it. That's one thing that I've learned in recent years. If you give yourself 3 hours to come up with 8 content ideas, you will take 3 hours to come up with 8 content ideas. If you give yourself 1 hour to come up with 8 content ideas, you will take 1 hour to come up with 8 content ideas. See where I'm getting with this? There's so much value in time blocking and giving yourself a specific amount of time to get a task done. Another tip I'll give you is to create a kind of working document, whether this is like your notes app on your phone, or whether it's like a Google Drive Word document, whatever it is, it needs to be easily accessible whilst you're on the go. Create a document which you can add to if you get a brainwave for an idea. So for me, I actually find myself to be super creative during a commute, which isn't ideal because I don't commute anymore because I work from home. But I used to find myself being really creative on my commute. So I would have all these notes open so that if I came up with an idea for a post, I would just write it down on the notes. Or if I came up with an idea for a caption, I would like write it down on the notes. And I would add to this whenever I had a brainwave. And what that meant was that when it came to me sitting down and actually batch creating content, I already had all these notes. Sometimes they weren't complete. Sometimes they were just like little nuggets of ideas, but that was fine because I had all this inspiration already there for me, and it made the whole process a lot easier. Also, there is such thing as creating too much content in advance. It might sound surprising to you. On my Raya London and Lila London accounts, I actually create content for about 2 to 3 months in advance, which is gonna sound wild, but it is the only way I can stay on top of my workload. So I batch create like there's no tomorrow. The downside to that is that all of my content might not always be relevant because things change in the space of a few months. You know, I remember having to go back into my content suddenly because I realized that there was a pandemic and none of my content reflected the fact that a pandemic had started. So this was obviously back in 2020. So one thing what I've learned from that experience is that yes, you can create loads of your content in advance, in months in advance if you need to, but if you do that, then you need to schedule time to revisit your content on a regular basis. So now every 2 to 3 weeks, I will go into Plannerly and I will look at what I've got scheduled and I'll look at my captions and I'll figure out, is this still relevant? Has a big, huge, life-changing thing happened like a pandemic, which I need to comment on, you know? Are there certain things going on like Black Lives Matter movement that I should be commenting on more regularly? Like that kind of stuff is really important because it makes sure that your content is always topical and always relevant. That is it for today. I wish you guys all the best of luck in your content batching journey. If you found this video useful, then I recommend checking out this one. It is all about how you can get on the Explore page on Instagram in 2021. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.